Hi, this is Michael Waits recording live from the Singapore FinTech Festival 2024. Thank you for joining us for this special edition of Insurance for the New Possible, where we discussed the most innovative ideas in FinTech.
We are joined today by Sean Ringsted, the Chief Digital Business Officer at Chubb. Sean, thank you so much for joining us at the Singapore FinTech Festival 2024. It's great to have you here, and welcome back to Singapore.
Michael, it's great to be here with you, and an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much. Look, partnerships have always been really important to Chubb, as you know. What are some of the core objectives that Chubb wants to achieve with these really important partnerships?
You're right, Michael. I mean, they're really core to Chubb partnerships are very important. What we wanted to do on the digital side was to reach a whole new swath of partners and customers, right? You take a step back and you have traditional partnerships, either in a broking channel or through bank assurance. And so what we wanted to do was to really take advantage of, if you will, and meet a need in the digital ecosystem with these opportunities and partnerships that are rising up. Now, entire verticals are being formed or reinventing themselves. I mean, you think travel, you think fintech, there's sort of examples of verticals that are new or have emerged. And so how can Chubb be relevant in those verticals to those partners, and more importantly to their customers, right? Because they have needs that we can meet, but we have to be able to do that in a way where we're taking our traditional strengths, matching that up with technology, and being able to serve those customers.
So when you think about that, and you talked about digital platforms, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute, but how do they enhance the policyholder experience as well? How does it make it easier for them or better for them?
Well, you can think about that in a number of ways, right? You know, we work very closely with our partners, right? And so they're inviting us into their digital real estate, right? Which is a great honor. So we have to be able, I mean, it's a given you have to be able to compete and deliver on the tech, right? So now you're on that digital real estate. How do we make the customers of those partners, what benefits can we bring to them? And so that's really thinking about the product set that we bring. So if we're partnering with a fintech, for example, we can bring protection products to those customers and in a way that they couldn't really access before. So if you think about our partnerships both in Asia and Latin America, where we're reaching low-income type families, sort of very much protecting them and their family, themes that are really resonated through COVID, right? Protection becomes very much front and center, right? If I lose my job or have an accident, right, I can't pay that loan, I can't pay that mortgage, and so on. And now you're able to reach them much more easily through, obviously, phone, mobile, right? And being able to put an insurance product in there sounds easy. It's actually quite difficult.
It's very difficult.
It's very difficult.
Is there like a gateway to innovation here as well? In other words, how can you leverage those partners to create more innovative products as well? Meaning you get all this feedback through these digital platforms that can then help you say, oh, here's another product that they need. How does it help you do that more quickly?
Totally. It's such an important point that you bring up, right? And so we work very closely with each partner, and it's very much about what is the customer pain point that you have, right? That you think is important to customers. So if it's an e-commerce type partner, you're looking to increase traffic, right? Protect that experience, right? If the payment is compromised in one way, or if the goods don't arrive, or if it's a fintech, right? Just looking after their customers. And what it does for the partner as well, it's not just the insurance product in of itself, but we find that it increases retention
on the platforms as well, right?
On the platform themselves. And there's also a broader sort of halo effect, right?
Sure.
With the partner in terms of increasing trust. So the customers on that platform now see that platform as providing a more sort of holistic set of financial service products that help them. So this is sort of halo effect of trust. You have increased retention, and hopefully you're making an impact to their customers.
So I think it really matters, actually. I've been living in Southeast Asia for, 13 years now. Can you believe that? It's hard for me to believe. But the point is that when I first arrived, even some of the new e-commerce platforms were having a real problem, and all the stuff they were doing were cash on delivery because of this trust issue. But I feel like what you're saying is that insurance has this halo effect, means that now they're not afraid. They can shop with more confidence, because if their product doesn't arrive, or if it arrives later than they expected on the logistics side, they can get protection at each one of those pain points. And that makes both the consumer and the business happier, yeah?
That's right.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's super cool. So if you go up like 35,000 feet, when you're thinking about how do I evaluate what makes a great partner?
Right.
How do you evaluate that?
It's a critical thing for us.
For sure.
Right? Because we're bringing a set of products and capabilities. It takes time and effort. So clearly a partner needs to be able to engage on the technology side. They have to have insurance high up on the priority
on their
list.
Priority
right?
list.
So,
yeah.
when we show up and say, hey, we want to sell insurance, they go, great, we've got other things that we want to do, right? This app's more important, right? Or we're going to launch in this country, that's much more important. So you got to have a strategic alignment there.
Agreed.
You have to have a commitment to create, right, and really solve customer problems. So we're not really in the market for somebody just taking our product off the shelf and saying fine.
Right. Look, it's not just anybody at any time and growth for any sake, right? It's very specific, and that's really...
It's got to be very specific, because I think that's where we really add value to the partners.
Right.
This sort of idea of creation is very important. And here's an interesting one too as well, right? I think it's a willingness to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Because when I think of our hero products that we've built and designed,
right,
they didn't come out of the box day one.
right, for sure. Some of them didn't work at first, right?
And so we make mistakes on our side, partner makes mistakes, right? But out of that, right, if you've got that long-term commitment, comes genius, right? Comes product, comes creation.
You just don't want to work with people that don't have a similar mindset and a similar sort of ethos. Otherwise, it just gets really hard.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about technology. Chubb Studio has been instrumental, right, in delivering innovative digital insurance solutions. That's clear. Can you give us a snapshot of how this gives Chubb an edge in the market?
Yes, it's been crucial for our success, that platform, if you will. So you can think of it simplistically as that layer between all the complicated stuff that happens on the insurance side.
Right, on the back end side, yeah.
So thinking about rating of product, you're thinking about policy issuance, you're thinking about billing, you're thinking about claims. So all that complexity, what we present to the partner is a very simplified experience, right? Where we're now integrating through APIs or SDKs, however the partner wants to integrate.
Right.
But we've simplified, we've abstracted all of that complexity. So partner facing, it becomes very simple to take on board the products that we're providing. And then what's fun about it, that's where the hard work starts, right? Because now you've integrated from a tech point of view. Now you can start to think about the experience that you want to create for the partner and their customers.
Right.
Because you think about a partner, it's amazing, right? Before we showed up, right? They is trying to sell insurance, right? They've spent all that time and energy on their digital screen, right? Every pixel is so important to them.
Yeah, it matters. It's highly designed, right?
Highly designed.
Highly.
And then we come in and say, okay, we're going to sell insurance.
Right.
And they go, wait a minute.
Where do we put that?
No, yeah, wait a minute, right? They've thought through every part of the journey. So the tech is super important, right? It's necessary, but not sufficient, right?
For sure.
It brings you a seat at the table. And now you can talk to the partner about, okay, now we can integrate from a tech point of view, right? How do we want to do that? What experience do you want to design?
So now you bring up a really great point, and you've automatically segued for me, and I cannot thank you enough for this. Because when we used to do trading, right, one of the things that made trading so much faster and more efficient was co-locating at the exchange. Right. We literally took our own technology and embedded it into the exchange and just made everything easier.
Yeah.
So how did Chubb Studio's capabilities support your partners in delivering solutions? You were almost there talking about this, right? That feel seamless and integrated into their own environment, right? So in a way, it's like co-locating the experience into theirs. Because like you said, if the partnerships themselves are super important, they want to maintain their own experience, right?
Yes.
So like when I go to Disneyland, the experience is different than when I go to Six Flags.
Yes.
It's a similar thing, but still different, right? So how do you do that?
Well, it's exactly as you say, right? So I mean, each partner, you'll sit down and you're in their world, right? It's their branding, it's their customer journey, right? It's their messaging, right? How they want to market, how they want to position the proposition, how they want to even call the product, right?
Right.
I mean, all of that is with the partner, and that's why it's so important for us, right? We're B2B2C,
right?
We're not direct, right? But we're going B2B2C because, and back to your earlier question about picking the right partners.
Exactly. Right? I was thinking the same thing.
That's where it becomes so crucial, right? Having the partner, right, that's got that vision and that brand, and as you said, that ethos with the customer.
Right.
That's where it becomes really, really crucial, and where you engage with the partner.
Okay, let's talk about this too. There's a larger insurance ecosystem, right, into which you fit. How do you see yourself inside that ecosystem, and how do you use that ecosystem to offer better protection to both these consumers you're talking about on the B2B2C side and the companies themselves?
Well, we've got. I mean, you can go at it. It's an interesting question because you can go at it. There's both sides of the coin now.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we built up. I mean, we have over 200 digital partners now globally.
Wow.
Right. And that's one of the really fun things in the job.
For sure.
Right. Is you take an idea in Asia.
Yeah, right.
And then you go to Latin America, and they've all heard about this partner. And
right. So like, can we have some of that?
Can we have some of that? Right. And you go, great. And you sit down and explain. I think it's two things, right? One is what the actual product is.
Right.
But we tailored it for the partner problem.
Right.
But then you abstract what made it successful, right? The partner commitment, the creation, understanding the customer pain point, right? And then you develop something really cool in Latin America. And now Asia wants it. Right.
It
So
goes back and forth. It's a little bit of ping-ponging back and forth, right?
It goes back and forth.
I love it.
But what we found in these verticals, right? If you think of fintech as a vertical, and that's a pretty sort of broad term, right? Because even within
fintech there are
right?
tons of different
payments,
things.
remittances, and so on. What's super interesting, they all talk to each other. Right.
It's like, are you doing this? Like, not yet.
Right. And they talk to, like, are you doing this with Chubb? Okay, well, how's it going? So there's sort of network flywheel effect of fintech. Same in e-commerce, or you go to mobility and so on. So these ecosystems exist within verticals, and they all talk to each other for.
It must be fun for you to be part of, let's say, an implementation, like you said, in Latin America, and then come to Singapore, come to Southeast Asia, and have somebody mention it to you and say, like, I was just about to talk to you about it, but you knew already.
Yeah.
That's really great.
And it's great. And they look to each other for reference points and examples. So you get this flywheel effect that starts to develop, which is super interesting.
I love it. So we're at the FinTech Festival, and you did mention FinTech was broad.
Yeah.
With digital payment transaction values expected to exceed, you're going to hear the number right, $16 trillion by 2028, which frankly is not that far away. It's a really large number. What do you see as the key technological and societal reasons why this is going to happen? What are the factors that are driving this?
Well, I think it's down to how customers want to live and transact. It's
both, though, right?
It's both. It's ease of convenience, right? And you've now got companies that have just born and raised in the digital era,
digitally native.
I mean,
from beginning to end.
My sons all, they bank on digital platforms.
My daughter's the same way. I don't think she's ever been to a bank.
Never been to a bank.
No.
Right. And they've got an expectation too. Right.
Because everything else in their life is like that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's that experience that they're after, right? And so this digital plumbing that's now emerged, and the experience that you can get digitally, a lot of that has to be done through a backbone of digital payments, right?
Absolutely. Okay, Chubb recently released new market research. right, on the impact of cyber scams on trust. And you mentioned this trust in digital payments.
Right.
Were there some interesting findings that came out of this report? Just maybe one or two?
There were. I mean, maybe the not surprising one, right, is the use, right,
For sure.
and reliance on digital payments. And what was interesting, I mean, if you look at both Asia and Latin America, I think this, and the report's available, so plenty of stats.
We'll make it available for everybody if that's okay.
Yeah, you can knock yourself out on the stats, but just picking out a couple of highlights to your point, right? I mean, about 2/3 of respondents said they would change they do change their behavior because of sort of like a lack of trust or thinking about the safety in the system. So
it's rational, right?
Scamming's an obvious example, but is my payment, I make you a payment,
right? Is
that going to arrive to you? Am I going to get scammed? So they alter behavior around that. And so that to me, when you think about the criticality of the digital payment backbone and the use of it, and if you really want everybody to be able to benefit from that, making sure that you can address that, I think is very important.
Yeah. Look, I do probably 90% of my payments now digitally.
Right.
I really do. Whether it's QR coding or transferring or whatever. And to be fair, at the beginning, I was a little concerned, like, is this really going to work kind of thing? But now I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Right? I feel really safe. Okay. What role does the insurance industry play? And this is, I think, is our final question for you. Indeed. This was awesome. It's great to have you here as always. In the continued expansion of this digital payments ecosystem, where does insurance fit in?
Well, I think it follows on from the previous point, right? If what you want to be able to do is to have a payment system that people feel that they can trust and rely upon. And in the survey, I think we found, again, it was nearly 2/3 of people, right, felt that insurance had a role to play. And interestingly, they would pay, right?
Absolutely.
A small premium to know, right, that there was something there that is going to be safe.
Right.
And if they're scammed, right, there's something there because some people know this, some people don't, right? But you're not covered, right, in a scam. And so or if your data's hacked, right? If your data's
I could tell you a ton of stories of people that weren't covered and like that I know in my immediate circle. Right. And if they had been covered, sure, it's uncomfortable, but at least you have some sort of coverage for that, right?
Yeah, and it's not just the payment piece, right? It's sort of, okay, I've lost my data. What should I do?
Right.
Or where do I go?
It's way bigger than just the payment itself, for sure, right?
Yeah. So I think insurance has a role to play in that, right? And much like any other part of the economy, right?
Absolutely.
Insurance really is the oil that makes things go, right? And so I think it's a similar role in the digital payments, right? The more that we can create a broader trust and in that system, then great.
I think that's key. Sean, this is awesome. It's always great to talk to you.
So good
Thank
to
you
see
so much for doing this. Come back to Singapore FinTech Festival 2025. It was great to have you.
Can't wait.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you.